Commissioners Price, Duncan, and Matari. Are there any changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none, public comment. Okay, hearing none. Our first item is our Justice Center update from Turner, Townsend, Heery, and David Mendez.
Good morning. David Mendez with Turner and Townsend Heery. For the record.
Bless you.
Bless you. So I've given you the updated spreadsheet on our budget. Blown that up, so there's some information to the right that's not included in this that Brandy can include the full spreadsheet for you. But so what this contains is what the original GMP was. The top under item number 1, it shows the original change order that was approved for $74,184. And then the two 3% design and construction contingencies, taking us to the GMP of $30,440,972. Down below is an accounting of where we are with our design contingency and construction contingency usage. So that if you look at the subtotal, for instance, on design contingency, we've used $234,749, and that leaves us from the original 882. That leaves us 647. The one down below is construction contingency usage. Same thing. We've got the first two items were items that were taken from the contractor, had included crediting, so keeping the 3% contingency in construction. When we used design contingency, they took out 3%. So that's just an accounting bringing down that number. We're not going to do that anymore, so it's kind of confusing. So we've stopped doing that. And then the bottom number, what I wanted to show there is currently, if we took what our GMP is and took out what has been utilized in design and construction contingency, that gives you what our total GMP contract amount is currently. So that will increase over time as we use the contingencies up. That'll bring that number up, but no higher than the $30,444,000. Okay. And then down below that, again, are just the soft costs that we've budgeted for. And then the second page has total project amounts. Some additional items that are coming up, we don't have pricing for, so everything that's on this is a price that we've included in and you've reviewed and signed for those items of work. But we've got some other items coming up that I just want to make you aware of. We've got a modification that was requested by the prosecutor's office to room 312, and it's taking out an intermediate wall. I looked at that. That's a no-cost change, but that's to satisfy a program needs. They need a little more room. That's where they review child abuse issues, and so they need that to be a completely separate room, sound and light. They don't want people to be able to look into those rooms, so the windows have been modified. So they asked for that to be a larger room instead of two separate rooms, and so it's probably going to be around a no-cost change to do that. They're going to eliminate a door and a window, and they're also going to add a reader board at the entrance into their space to show where people are. So we've added a data and power for them to do that. The next item is a wall thickness repair. So in that, you've got the north tower and the south tower where you see all of that concrete being poured. They had an issue where the form didn't expand out as far as it needed to, so it was an error, a mistake. And there's a thin part, so we've had the engineers look at that and come up with a fix. That's going to be part of the contractor's contingency, and it's about a $16,000 fix. we've got a roof drain, so they're looking at what the schedule shows when the roof will be started. We'll get a sealed roof, and it's going to hold water. They're looking at the timing of that and thinking we need to accommodate for if we get a rain shower that would potentially flood that roof area and cause a problem. So they're looking at some alternatives, and that might be a, John, did you have a?
We're looking at upgrading the roof drain system to accommodate any potential rainfall during the summer months. We know it's rare, but it's a risk management potential that we're evaluating, and our weatherproofing consultant believes it's also a better long-term detail as well. So we're reviewing that with the team and proposing to utilize our contractor contingency for that, because that's something that we should have probably looked at in pre-construction and had it there from the start. So that would be coming out of Boughton's contingency.
So the next item is roof anchors. So we started this project. One of the first things we talked about when I arrived was maintenance on the outside of the building, what we would have to have for window washers, anchors on the roof. They decided that that wasn't necessary. Then we decided, well, it's limited access on the west side, limited access on the main entry. So we need to have anchors, and then they've decided that would be prudent to put anchors at intervals so that they can access the exterior of the building from the roof. So we're looking at what that's going to cost to add those anchors back into this design. And then the last item is the next CCD. We've submitted for and approved up to CCD 5 at this point. So CCD 6 is going to, right now, the only thing we've got that's potential added cost is the final comments from the city on on the permit set. So that we don't know at this point if that's going to entail any additional costs, but it's out there, and it's what we're going to start accumulating. And I'll be reporting to you as those items are discovered on what that'll be.
And you said CCD?
Yeah, contract change directive.
Got it.
Okay. So you're seeing CE, which is a change event. That's a contractor term. I'm using those. Those will be submitted to you for approval after they've all been reviewed. And at this point, that's all that I've got. Sorry for being gone. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Questions, Bill? Okay, questions?
No, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing and giving us these updates. So it's nice to see it's coming along well, it appears.
Just for future reference, so I made an assumption because it was going to be a zero cost change. So I had a request from a department that they wanted to change something. In the future, is that something that you should be informed of before they move forward with anything like that, or is that discretion?
Yeah, a zero cost change, I don't really think that's that important for the board.
Well, my bigger concern was I started thinking, well, wait a minute, I haven't asked. We're changing the building and how it's going to be used. Mm-hmm. That's probably something that needs to be scrutinized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
So-
you think that it warrants that, then that's fine.
Okay.
You know, just like the prosecutor's changes. I mean, it's a nice little diagram and easy to understand, so.
All
Well, it's also for the department that's going to be using it. Now, if it was like a change in the public area or something like that, then maybe,
I'm not
Might-
saying that we have to approve it or deny it, but
Yeah.
just being aware of it,
Yeah.
I think is prudent.
Yeah, I want to make sure that you've got the opportunity to throw up your hands and say, wait a minute. We talked about that, we decided that wasn't going
At
to
least
happen.
ask, at least ask a question.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I just have a question on the sheet.
Okay.
So we had a $72,000 credit at one point from some changes, like the going with LVT over tile or some of that stuff. So,
So that's the accounting, so why it's a negative number is that's actually costing the job. So it's taking away from your design contingency from up above. That's why it's a negative number.
right, but it was a positive number at one point. we were saving money by making those changes. So
Oh,
I
there-
was just asking if that's reflected here.
Oh, it's reflected in the total, yes.
Okay,
So we've got some added costs, some betterments that we've looked at, and we've also, for instance, the tile floor versus ceramic floor, that was a negative. So that's been washed out, but there's still a $72,000 difference there.
Yeah, it's a deduction on the bottom line number. So it's reflected, it's reflected in a slightly less linear way, if you will.
I will say that I need to, John and I have been talking this morning, I need to look at, so that's item number 2. There's also item number 6, that's a $57,000. I think there might have been a duplication of some numbers in there potentially. So we're gonna go back and review that line by line to make sure that that's right.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, item 2, Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board FY25 budget. I included that in the weekly packet. Thank you. So I wanted to know if you guys had any questions or if you would like a presentation from HARB's staff on that. It is just a minimal increase, and that's because some items have come up that we only do every few years. I think there's a facility plan in there, and so that is accounting for some of the increase. And last year's increase was 13.59%. This year's is only 7.29. But like I said, we've got some facility plan, plus there's added chemical cost with the new upgrades to the plant. So if you'd like a presentation, I can arrange that.
The 7.29% increase, does that include the facility plan?
I believe it does. It's kind of strange how it's broken out
It
on the
is.
side. So I would have to go back and look at that line item and go ask where that line item is tucked away.
Yes, because a lot of the, on that far right column,
Yeah, it's
I guess
included
it's
in there.
noting why those numbers are different from the year before.
Right,
But it is a little different presentation than a normal, like, financial.
right. Yep. So if you like, I can find out what line item that is going to be. And actually, I found it. It's 511-610. So it's actually on the very first page. And it's under the consulting general admin. It's going from 75,000 to 225,000.
Yes.
And this has not been approved by the board yet. This is just the first iteration of it. The board will eventually approve it in the next couple months with some minor changes here and there. And so just wanted to know if you guys want a presentation.
The only thing I would be just concerned or, interested in learning more about is just the implication to the county. But obviously, it's a multi-jurisdiction board, and so that budget is shared among those different jurisdictions.
Correct. And the county is 1%.
Yeah,
of
it's
this
very
budget.
small.
Yeah. Yeah, and so what I can bring forward, or actually send it by email if you like, is the new updated costs per month based on this budget.
That would be helpful.
Okay.
And have they made any progress at all with their transaction?
The dissolution? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yes and no. So there is a draft agreement. It's just not available for the April 19th meeting. So the April 19th meeting is being rescheduled, and maybe not till July. Trying to get everybody's schedules together,
Well,
so.
I didn't think it was going to be an easy proposition, given the couple of meetings that we've had already.
Yeah.
But at least if it's moving in the right direction, that I
It
think is
is.
what counts.
Every month we talk about it and find out where we're at, but the district really wanted that proposal from the city, and the city finally got it together, but not in time for the district to have 3 weeks. to
Well,
look
they've
at
had a
it.
lot of change over there too, so.
And that's part of the issue.
Yep, okay.
So, okay, any other questions, Bill? All right. Item 3, public defense lease renewal. I wanted to let you guys know that the state is aware of our intent to renew the lease. They did put language in there that the lease would be transferable to the state. It still has the non-appropriation clause in it, so if there's anything that happens between now and when the state takes over, the county can still get out of it. And the state has indicated they want to stay there. They are very much in approval of the location, and they are going to work in their budget process to see if they can accommodate us sooner than later with the taking over the lease.
That would be great.
Okay. Any concerns on the price? I tried to give you all of the detail information on that. They came out with some numbers in February, then I went back in March and said, since we're going to have to pay for it for 5 more years, is there anything you can do? So they did lower what they want, and it is below market value right now.
Well, the commercial sector is getting hit pretty hard. The rate seems reasonable for a Class A space,
Okay.
but I don't think we're going to move, right?
I don't
mean,
want to
I
move.
don't-
I don't
I
think
think
there's any place to move.
I think that the cost of moving has to be incorporated into the calculations if we were to look someplace else. And then also, of course, the proximity to the courthouse, which is very important. So,
Because we do pay mileage.
yeah.
So
Yep.
there's that. Well, it'll be on the business meeting at 2:00 today for signature. And if there's any questions that come up between now and then, we can have a talk about it.
Nope, I think it looks fine.
Thank you. Item 4, I'm sorry, Bill, any questions?
No.
Okay. Item 4, Timberlake Fire Protection District Impact Fee Ordinance Discussion. And we have Fire Commissioner Wilkins here and Chief Hermanent. And I don't know if you guys want to join us at a front table for questions. I did include the email in our packet that Timberlake is looking or needing some adjustments in their fees, and they wanted to know if our board is willing to go through that process with them, because it is a little bit involved, and Pat Braden can fill us in on the involvement. So, Commissioner?
Yes, so they can.
Oh, I'm sorry, you have to push the
Can you
button.
hit the, on the left?
This one?
Yep, there you go.
There we go. Thank you for having us today. Our main concern is when we did our original CIP, the price of equipment has gone up exponentially. Originally, the process takes us about a year to get through our CIP plan and get it to where we can bring it to you and get approval. Originally, we estimated that at the time, we were looking at a cost of about $600,000 for a new engine. And we put that in place and put that in our CIP, and we were looking to put a lighter truck also. Since that time, in less than a year and a half, it's now gone up 100%. So the cost of a fire engine is between $1.2 and $1.3 million. So that has drastically affected our ability to purchase a new fire engine. So we're coming to you with the intent to get your opinion if that would be something you'd be willing to reopen up that intergovernment agreement so that we can change our CIP. This would take us probably about approximately 9 to 12 months to actually implement, but we don't want to start that process unless we have input from you guys, knowing that you were willing to at least allow us to do that. So that's why we're here.
Okay.
For those at home, CIP?
Capital Improvement Plan, sorry.
Yeah.
All these acronyms, I know, we
I
get
know.
used to using, fire service, military, so, yeah. Our capital improvement plan,
And-
which is directly related to the impact fees.
Now, I think that we should. I mean, obviously, these are life-saving pieces of equipment, and there's no reason why we shouldn't try to build a mechanism so that these items can be purchased.
Pat, did you want to weigh in on the process?
Just, I sent an email to all three of you yesterday in response to Commissioner Duncan's question, and which she got from Chief Hermine. Basically, any fire protection district can approach us at any time to adjust CIPs and impact fees. In fact, that's supposed to be done periodically anyway. But they don't have to all come together before the board. They can do it by, district by district if that's what they want to do. It would go through the normal process. It'd go through the Joint Impact Fee Advisory Committee, then to the Planning Commission, and then finally to the county commissioners to approve give final approval of the CIP and the proposed impact fee. So it's the same process we're going through right now with our own fees.
Okay, questions?
No, I would say that that's the reason we're here, is to be able to respond to things like that. And we all know what prices are doing on almost every front. We got a problem,
Great,
but we don't want to ignore yours because that's a very important
absolutely.
part of the equation. Thank you for bringing it to us.
Absolutely. We just want to make sure, because it is a process that we have to go through, and we didn't want to start, it's also a very high, it's a cost to us to actually do that, to redo our CIP, quite a substantial cost. So we want to make sure that that was actually something that we could do in the right process and get it through without put on the constituents another fee that we have to implement to get that CIP put back in place. So I thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
No, thank you.
Thanks so much. All right. Item 5, Bureau of Land Management Resource Advisory Council position discussion. Oh, hello.
Commissioners, Jonathan Gillen for the record. I'll be really brief. I reached out to Richard Meyer, who serves on our County Natural Resource Advisory Board. He sent his application to serve on the Bureau of Land Management Resource Advisory Council. I checked with Suzanne Ensley, who came and presented to you all a couple weeks ago, and she said he could fit into 2 different categories. He just needs a letter of support signed. The support letter basically validates the qualifications of the individual, and they just need the letter of support to address both these categories, and if they can do it in one letter, that would be perfect for them. That's it.
Any questions, concerns?
No, I couldn't think of a more qualified candidate.
All right, do you have direction?
All right, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, public comment. Come on up.
Ron Hartman for the record. I have a couple questions with regards to the Justice Center update. The prosecutor's request to take out an internal wall, and it's no cost. Where's the credit for the material? Where's the credit for the labor to put the wall up? I can't believe that this doesn't come back as a credit, let alone just no cost. I don't get it. The math doesn't work for me. The other one, I've got a question. The next one on the concrete wall, obviously there was a material error in the thickness. I don't know where the money comes from that's in for a contractor contingency. Does that mean the contractor paid for his own mistake? Or do we have a baked-in contingency to pay for his mistakes? The bottom line is, it should not come out of the taxpayers' money for an error that they made. That'd be like you being Alaska Airlines with this Boeing jet, and the door plug blows out, and he wants to charge you for the bolts that weren't in there. Oh, I forgot to add the bolts to the bill of materials, so, now you gotta pay for these. No, it's a mistake he made, he's gotta pay for it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody online? On the phone? Okay. 10:24, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.